Welcome to the experiment, 100-person project. Simple questions for 100 people. I'm Bill Carell, and this is my investigation. My research project is to gather data from 100 beautiful human beings for the sole purpose to see what actually happens across the interviews. So the questions are going to be fixed, and all the interviews will remain consistent, with the variable being the actual participants themselves, and of course, your answers. It's as if I'm having you, Shalini, come sit on my porch to share your thoughts so that I can learn about people. Looking forward to what we're going to learn when we're done with the whole thing, and we are very interested in the people, the process, and your particular story. So it's my distinct pleasure to introduce my guest. Well, how about I let you do it for me? What is your complete name, full name?
My full name is Shalini Saxena Brault.
Nice. Now, did you have another name that you go by?
Well, just legally, I'm Shalini Brault, my married name, but I'm also a writer, and it's really important for me just to keep my maiden name with me as well. So then I, put my maiden name as my middle name, and that's now my author name. So now that's what I actually prefer to introduce myself as, Shalini Saxena Brault.
That's cool. And just for the sake of interest, I think it was your email, but I also believe that when I was introduced to you by Sam, that she said your name was Shalini or Shalini. I appreciate hearing you say that out loud. Shalini, okay? That there's yet another word in there. And what is that all about?
Yes. So it's pretty much, I don't correct people if they say my name as Shalini, because that name too is something I grew up with, because it's not easy to say. I went to school here, right, first grade, and I lived in an area where there were a lot of Italian people, right? And so I think it just because I have the I at the end of my name, so it was almost like easy, like spaghetti, tortellini. So Shalini. And so, as a 6-year-old child, you're not really sitting there trying to correct people. And you also, you have a unique name and you just go with it. So I went with it till 12th grade. That's how everyone knows me as. So not until I went to college, and now people don't know me, I get to reintroduce myself, and we're also older and more mature, and we can grasp how to say a name if we're told how to say a name. So then I would say Shalini. But, if you just look at my name, the way it's spelled, it's so common because I was raised like that. And so it's also very near and dear to my heart. So it's okay. So I don't necessarily correct. I just go with the flow.
That is absolutely delicious, as my dear friend would say. So that leads us into the next question, Shalini. And do you have a favorite nickname that most people don't know?
I think the only thing I can think of recently, because I really don't have a nickname that people don't know, except maybe this, and I have my friends, the select few, that call me American Swan Goddess.
That's cool. So what is the history of that name, and where did that come from? You appear to be having too much fun with it.
So my business name is Swan Goddess, and I had chosen that name because the way my path took me to where I am right now, from corporate America to holistic healing, energy work, and meditation, for me, it really came from the Hindu swan goddess that I really felt connected to, and that I didn't realize until, I'm on my spiritual path, that there's even a Celtic swan goddess that I was very much, drawn towards, but I didn't realize she was considered this Celtic swan goddess. So I was like, oh my God, this whole swan energy. And because I was very connected to the Hindu swan goddess since the time I was a teenager, my dad calls me and my sister and I, his swanlets. So I'm Swanlet 1 because I'm older, and then my sister is Swanlet 2.
Not a cygnet, a swanlet. I like it.
Yeah, yes, a Swanlet. And then he calls our family home, like where I was raised in New York and Long Island, the same home from first grade,
Yeah.
the pond, So the whole swan thing has been around. And so I have, dedicated my business to the swan goddess, to the muse of the swan, because it represents creativity, it represents wisdom and enlightenment in the arts. So the healing arts, just everything. I'm not writing, and prayer and meditation is so important to me. So everything that I'm doing right now is the embodiment of the swan. And so with working with goddess energy. So now I have those two swan goddess. So then my friends here who know about this then said, well, we don't have an American swan goddess. So, every time they see me, they say, hi, swan goddess.
And I'll tell you what, there's a lot worse things to be known as, right?
Yeah, no, I'll own it because I'm an American. We don't have a swan goddess in the United States. And, and there's a Hindu
Great
swan goddess. There's a
brand.
Catholic swan goddess. I'll be the American swan goddess. I love it.
And it's a lot of fun, for you to just to explain to people how something so simple could be so complex in its etymology. It's not a word that came out of nowhere one time. It's been growing over your lifetime, at least since you were a teenager, right?
Yes, probably before then. It's just I didn't really have that much awareness probably when I was little to put all of this stuff together. But
Yeah,
yeah. hmm
that's
So yeah,
cool.
American swan goddess.
I like it a lot. I really do.
Oh, I love it too.
I think maybe I'll be working on my my branding just a little bit. Uh, so so we'll get back to these uh, mundane questions here. They are wonderful in terms of what they give access to. And when did you first notice what color hair you had?
Honestly, I think I was really thinking about this, and I really have to say, probably when I had to go to the DMV or whatever it is, whatever the first thing was. To me, I feel like it was probably the DMV when you have
Right.
to fill out the form. And now I have to fill out the form for the first time as a 16-year-old to get my license, and it says, eye color, hair color, and then I probably really had to be like, oh yeah, this is the color of my hair. I'm not sure how much like I was necessarily paying attention. Like it was my hair, it was the color. Like, I wasn't really necessarily noticing that's the color of my hair. It's just it's who I was, and I didn't know any better. But I
Right.
think, if I had to like really think about where I had to really think about the color of my hair, it was probably when I had to fill out the form at the DMV. Because then in science, hair cannot be certain colors, eyes cannot be certain colors. You can't say you have black eyes because there's no such thing as black eyes. There were actually brown eyes, all the things. So
That's cool. And what's really cool about it is that all of the thought that goes into something as simple as what color is your hair. And I think most people, if you ask them what colors their eyebrows are or something like that, um, there's some things that we just kind of take for granted that we more or less don't recall. And I was having fun in the last podcast with my partner, trying to recreate, that little voice that comes on that says, "Please note, we're about to record," blah blah blah, which is a federal FCC requirement that if we're going to record a conversation that you have to know it and I have to know it, that way that we both can opt out if we want to. But something as simple like that I've listened to probably 300 times in the last 2 years. I couldn't come up with the words.
right.
So we've got the color handled, and it was so that you could comply with a legal document. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, so this one I've been looking forward to asking you in particular. What is your favorite thing to do, Miss Swan Goddess, to intentionally waste time?
Yes, I have come to the conclusion that I don't intentionally waste time. Like, because for me, I feel like it might be something if I intended to do something and I didn't do it, that's one thing. But then I would replace it for something that I found to be more useful, maybe a connection with a friend or, something else instead of doing my project, which is more something intentional, or a goal. So I feel like I might shift goals or my intention for the day, but I don't feel like I am then also intentionally wasting time. Like I feel like my energy has to really be like invested in something, personal, professional, connection, my own health. If I'm, going to go for a walk, exercise, eat well. Like I feel like everything's really intentional. I can't just idly sit and feel like not to do something that will benefit or benefit me or benefit another.
So let's dive into that just a little bit.
I had a feeling you would.
If you're human, I would guess that there are times that you're doing something or nothing that you now notice, oh, I should be being productive. Do you ever have those thoughts? It sounds to me like you're intentionally refocusing, changing focus, and being, very energy conscious about everything you do. I get that. And then I also know that there are some things that you probably do that other people might identify as wasting time.
Yes. So I think the closest thing to wasting time for me would be watching TV because I don't particularly enjoy hours and hours of watching TV.
Sure.
And a movie, a good show. If I need to laugh, TV has its place, but just to binge watch, like I get really like antsy. Like TV is like not my favorite thing. But I do find myself that when I am in that space watching more TV than I would like to,
Sure.
it's because like I'm like depleted in some way or the other that I cannot actually put in the time or the energy or the love or the effort that something is going to require. So then I'd rather just retreat and just kind of take care of my energy, and then I'll just watch endless hours of TV. Because that's for me, that's replenishing like my energy or trying to listen to my body. What is it that I need to do? Like, what is it that how do I, take care of what I'm feeling right now that I'm just so depleted, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically.
Well, that's really, a perfect example of how you're choosing to do something that is the antithesis of energy work, because is there a particular show or type of show that you would love to zone out over other kinds, or is it just kind of like what everybody else is watching?
Something like a comedy show or mystery. It just depends,
Yeah.
I love a good mystery detective show, and then I also do really love, laughing, because I feel like sometimes if that's what's needed, it takes me a little bit out of the sluggish feeling or, the depletion. So it just depends on, I just really kind of feel into what I'm in the mood, like depending on what's on. But it's always like these reruns. Like I've seen all of these episodes like a gazillion times, nothing I want to invest myself. So if I have to like zone out, it's okay. I don't want to be invested in any story.
That's great. That's great. And I really, really appreciate that there are times in our life that we make noise happen around us that we intentionally will not pay any attention to. And then every once in a while we'll get snapped out because they're laughing on TV. So maybe we should laugh too. But what was that? Okay, back it up a minute. It's all good. But I do love that your energy comes from being present in the state of laughter. I really do. I think that that's our that's a language that we all have that we spend far too little time examining in terms of what that language means and what we're actually saying. But there are songs that are written about stuff like that. I think that laughter is one of the most genuine forms of saying I love my life right now, best day ever. You know, as long as you're laughing, how could it not be the best day ever, right?
Right. And I agree with that. And I have to say it's been like a recent discovery, like in the sense like it's been more intentional as, time goes on and you learn more, and you like take the time to, like I've been on this path for some time. So there has been times, I'm sure, before I got to this point, if anyone's like listening to this and being like, okay, well, that's, you're not there yet. I wasn't there either. Like, if I was watching TV endless, like at some point it probably wasn't. I was like numbing something out, and
Right.
not wanting to deal with something. But like, with all the work that I've done and the tools that I have, like you just learn over time. It's just you just get better at it, when you're just really intentional with what is happening with you mentally, emotionally, physically. I've taken a lot of time to really try to, redefine health and wellness, what it means for me. So this is part of my journey, but I'm sure I know for sure years ago I probably used TV and other things just to like numb life out.
Yeah, what I'm getting out of that is that self-care is a complete expedition and journey as along with anything else having to do with energy transference and energy appreciation and energy generation and all of those things that have to happen in the healing side of things. And when you're in the mode of not having strong batteries in a moment, it's just really a smart thing to sit there and do nothing for a little while.
Yes,
All
I
right.
agree.
So now, along the same lines, what is your favorite movie to watch alone?
If I had to pick one, I would pick Eat, Pray, Love. Even though I haven't necessarily found myself watching movies by myself or like having a favorite anything. So I
Yeah.
feel like everything like, um, has a different gift or energy. So I appreciate different genres or different types of movies or characters or storylines for what they are. But there is something about Eat, Pray, Love. I could just watch it with someone, watch it alone, and just be like immersed in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's remarkable how time changes a memory of an experience having watched a movie a long time ago. And I'm not for sure when Eat, Pray, Love came out, but about a month ago, we went down and visited my stepmother, where she's staying with a whole bunch of other octogenarians and older, watching When Harry Met Sally,
Mhm.
the uncensored version. So there were F bombs and there were all kinds of stuff like that. I don't remember there being this much swearing, but yeah, it was pretty good. So let me see here, and I think that's good. Eat, pray, love. I'm struggling to recall what the plot was, but I have a feeling it was something that was redeeming in some way, just from the name.
She was Julie Roberts was finding herself, and then she decided she was a writer. She was going to write a book. So she went to Italy to really get into the senses of eating and how she healed through that and what life taught her. Being in Italy because they like have such value and such connection to food.
Yes,
And then she goes to um, India, for meditation and for yoga and so she finds, like prayer, and just to be with spirit. And then she goes to Bali, like in Indonesia. And that, again, that's where she finds love.
I'm a big
It
Julia
was
Roberts
a good
fan. Yes, I remember now.
journey.
All right, so this one I'm really looking forward to asking you in particular, Miss Swan Goddess.
This
If
was
you
fun.
were to, if you were to have an action figure made of you, what superpower would it have, and what colors would the uniform be?
Yeah, this was like so clear in my head, and this was so much fun to think about. I think the superpower for me that's important is inner strength, and from the standpoint of I'm a sun Leo. I'm a Leo, so like the whole lion, lioness, royalty, like that sort of like inner strength, like the presence, the force, like kind of speaks for itself, and so I feel like with all these superheroes now, like everyone's always fighting, someone, and there's like a lot of kicking and this and that. I'm envisioning for me that it's just inner strength. It's just my presence, with about integrity, truth, and fairness, like sitting on a throne and then like with a robe, with red and gold. And then I have a crown of jewels, and it's just fairness. So, obviously, there's going to be disagreements and all the things, but, you come and you express yourself, you will be seen, heard, and fair, felt, and have a space to express what is happening and what is the problem. But there's enough trust and faith in who I am that once, the wisdom or the truth is shared, it's fair and you move on. No fighting.
It sounds so Eastern to me. Nothing to do, nothing to say, just be strong inside and sit there and exude that to the world.
Yes, but that they also but because of your example, right? Like they trust you to also be able to, offer a solution, and they're not going to, question your authority or where that's coming from, because your very essence is integrity and fairness.
Yes. Yes. So you're actually relating to other people based on a foundation of trust and already knowing, that it's an already relationship. It's not one you have to develop with experience and over time. It's just like being around you and feeling your aura. And holy moly, I actually feel better now. Not bad.
But growing up, I did love Wonder Woman. She was my
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
she was my favorite.
I can get that with the bracelets and all, right? So along the same lines, but maybe using a smaller, thinking than the one that you just demonstrated. What did you want to grow up to be when you were 5 years old?
An astronaut.
Interesting.
Yes, there was always something so fascinating to be able to be amongst the stars.
Please say some more. I love where you're going with this.
Yeah, I guess just the connection to, I guess I didn't realize it at the time. I always loved looking up at the sky. I always loved, while we were on long drives, being in the back seat while my dad was driving, looking up to the clouds and seeing if I saw faces in the clouds and things like that. There was just something about the sky. And then, the sun. I love the sun. I love the moon. I love the stars. There was just something so magical about the sky, and whether it was day or night, and I just felt so connected. I've always wondered what was up there, and could we go up there. And then of course astronaut was the only thing, I think, when we were growing up, that you can go to the moon, if you're an astronaut. And so I thought, oh, I want to go up there. So I wanted to be an astronaut.
So that's really cool. And my sense is that you were probably a child when the space shuttle was still flying at that point, back in the 90s.
Yeah, I graduated high school in '90, so yeah, I was pretty much a teenager.
The
Yeah.
80s and 90s. So there was also this kind of like feeling that as long as we were exploring the sky, nothing was impossible. Do you remember that feeling? Of
Mm.
course we're going to go to Mars. Of course we're going to go to the stars.
Mm. That you mentioned, I forgot about. Yeah, it just seemed so grand. It just seemed so magical. It just seemed so, just like, I don't know, it was just like the best feeling in the world, like to
Yeah.
think that you can get onto a rocket and go up towards, to the moon, and then see what's going on up there. And, is there life up there? Like what happens up there, be so
Very.
close to the stars. Can you actually touch it?
Well, we do know there's at least one flag and a golf ball and a golf club. So that those are still there. They would be there waiting to be discovered. So, what is your greatest accomplishment?
Yeah, my greatest accomplishment, I really have to say, this might be too deep for some, but is like uh, to know myself, to know thyself, you know, self mastery, my connection to God in spirit. Because I feel like when I guess I felt so lost for so long, even though life on the outside, my life on the outside, I'm sure it looked great. Like I would look, there's nothing, crazy happening that, you wouldn't think I wasn't happy or anything. But on the inside, it just really didn't make sense to me, and I was very lost and just confused on the inside. I knew there was more. I knew there was different for me. Like this was, linear path, this conventional path everyone's taking, with education, money, career, family, children, like all the things. Like it's just not for me. But I did it all, and I did it well. But it's not my soul. It's just I just always known that. So I think for me, the last 16, 17 years on this journey of self-study, self-mastery, connection to God, like I said, I have to say is my greatest accomplishment, because I feel like you still have everything else, but like now I have me. I have me, like the truest part of me, part of my life, and I can enjoy it differently. I can see, I can like really see like the web and, just how everything comes together, and just from a different place. It's from a very, and so I feel like that was the missing link this whole time in my life, and I got it. And and it's a still ongoing process, but like I got a good part of it now to be able to, hold space for whatever other challenges and lessons I need to learn.
Yeah.
That is further, but I really have to say, I have a lot of degrees under my belt. I have a lot of things, like those things are not necessarily true accomplishments for me. Like it was really like being like in my heart and soul and living from that place, like of being like having a very like fulfilling, like soul inspired life, and I feel like I'm living that now. And so for me, that's the biggest accomplishment for myself.
So I'm letting that settle in just a little bit. But part of what I'm hearing is almost like a coming full circle, to a cultural background that you were distanced from, being raised in Long Island, that if you go back and you look at the whole notion of Eastern philosophy, and whether it's Buddhist or Confucianism, or the other ones where it goes from the skin in, as opposed to religions that are looking from the skin out, and that the world gets created first on the inside, then it gets created on the outside, sort of thing. And when you're in that type of a mode, probably having gone through this series of really the paper chase, getting it done, getting the piece of cheese, being really good at that. I'm sure you probably were a great student and probably, at the top of your class and all the rest of that. I would expect that from you. But to come all the way back to where you would be interested in taking this pronoun called self, you know, and turning it into a proper noun with a capital S, where that is a work of art, and that your job on this planet is to be so strong in terms of your growth in that area, but the Buddhists would say, and to fight the need to be attached to it, so that you're constantly breaking yourself up and becoming, always in a state of becoming as opposed to a state of being. And there's something very strong, from an energy standpoint about considering life as being a human becoming.
Yes. Yeah. No, I totally, yes. I don't even know what to say about that because I feel like yeah, I'm constantly becoming another version of me, the truest version of me. And I feel like that's why I was so confused and lost because even though I did all the things that, I needed to do to survive in this world, to be successful, whatever all of those things were, I wasn't true to who I was on the inside. And the further I was going, checking the boxes, the further I was away from who I was. So I kind of like just got lost, and not until, you know, everything, I just moved here, life in New York, ended for me and transitioned here like into this part of my life, the last 16, 17 years, where then I got to find me. Like that the whole journey is about finding me this
Yes.
last time because she just got like stomped, like she just got like buried somewhere, deep because I was doing what the world needed me to do, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, you went from being a little accomplishment monster, without really too much satisfaction upon completing the accomplishments. For a little while, it's good, but it's like a cookie high. It's not like a satisfaction of being able to sit down and refocus your energy back inside again, and then multiply it many times and send that out into the world. That's a completely different set of skills that um, just requires such an amount of, I mean, I'm getting this from you, but this is what I'm
Mhm.
making it mean for me is that setting yourself on that path. um I get it. That's your greatest accomplishment. There's no doubt in my mind, you know. So who is your favorite person to listen to?
Anyone with a British accent. You have a British accent. I won't even care what you have to say. I will just listen to you forever. There is something about that accent. I don't know. I get lost in it. Like I literally don't even know necessarily what they're saying. Like there's just something about a British accent. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you.
That might even go up there with your favorite thing to do to intentionally waste time. Let's go find out what Hugh Grant is up to this week, and we'll give him a listen.
I know. I know. But it's true.
So when did you first notice that? That's kind of cool.
Um I don't I don't I don't know. I know when we were younger, we did go to London with my family. So I don't know if it's from being in London or from movies. Probably movies. I would think movies. Maybe James Bond. My dad was a big James Bond fan. Like
Sure.
so, there's as long as it was a James Bond movie or like they're on TV, it was on. So oh yeah, I honestly I would maybe I would have to say TV, something movie or some TV show with British actors because I get lost in a British accent, especially if it's like male. It has to be male.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, now that's getting interesting.
Yeah. I'm like realizing that I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure I can say that for like, women with British accents.
So Ab Fab never did it for you, huh?
Yeah, so there must be some sort of, I don't know, boy crush on that or something. I don't even know.
Good for you. Okay. That's a pretty cool guilty pleasure, actually, and harmless as things go, I think. So that's just me giving you cover here.
Thank you.
It's all good. It's all good. So please complete this sentence,
Hmm.
Miss Swan Goddess. When I grow up, I'd like to.
Um, when I grow up, I'd like to I'd like to keep moving. Movement. Like movement is so important. Physically, mentally. Just I always want to be learning. I always want to be growing. I always want to be exploring. You know, because I feel like that when you have when you stop any of those things, right, then it's just like what you lose the beauty, of life or of people. You get stagnant, you get, and I don't want to, you know, grow, grumpy, sad, depressed. I want to be able to still enjoy life. I want to still be able to give back to people and to communities. I want to always be growing as a person. Just there's such capacity, as humans, as people, as souls, to always, just like you're saying, the path of becoming, right? You just don't know who is like the next person that's going to walk through your life that might need help, or that might be your best friend, that might give you this opportunity. Like the universe is always working, spirit's always working for us, so there's no reason not to like have the best life ever, as we are evolving and growing and going to the next phase of our life, as so like I'm in my 50s, so there's still more of my life, just because the kids are grown, they're not here, then there's still my life, there's still other humans on this planet that we can have connection with and collaboration with, and be helpful to each other. So I feel like there's just always something to do. There's always something to learn. There's always I believe in magic. That's the thing. I believe in magic. I believe in humanity. I believe that the world is a good place, a really beautiful place, even with all of the stuff that's going on, right now. So I just feel like I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that inspiration. I don't want to lose that joy. So I always just want to have that curious, fun, adventurous, spirit.
Yeah. While you're speaking, I was going away and coming back and going away and coming back and going away and coming back. But did you ever read Deepak Chopra, Ageless Mind, Timeless Spirit?
No.
I would recommend that for you. Just some more really empowering words along the same lines of being a human becoming. Uh,
Mm.
and for me, the easiest way for me to distill it down to is that we're spiritual being experiencing this life in a physical body, as opposed to a physical being having a spiritual nature. And there's lots of room for making that mean anything that you want to, that brings empowerment to your life, such as what if we never grow old? What if our health, if that were front and center, the most important thing that we ever concentrate on, and our energies were always in alignment with being as healthy as we possibly can be for the rest of our days, how we spend those days, and being excited that today's the best day ever, every single day, no matter what's going on.
Hmm.
Even the trials and tribulations are like, holy crap, is that all you got? Bring it on. Okay, I'm learning, I'm learning, I'm learning. Yeah, I'm only 93, but yeah, we got time. Let's do this. That's what I'm thinking of in hearing you speak.
Yeah, and just gratitude and appreciation, for all of it. It makes us who we are. It makes us who we are collectively, individually and collectively. So it could be a very beautiful world that we live in.
It's a great shared language, isn't it? And when you can like get people on the plane of exploring gratitude and appreciation, most people don't know what that means in a powerful way. most people have that as just being thankful, you know, um, and noticing when things go well for them, you know,
Mhm.
and it's at a completely different level, especially if you're a being in training all the time and you're looking for what can that possibly mean for me today? What can that newly mean for me today? And how can I turn this around and make it powerfully available to those that are around me, especially the people I love? Oh, by the way, I love everybody. How's that working? That's pretty cool, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So neato. That's a very, very good thing to look forward to do when you're grown up since you're only 50 something. I think that's the coolest ever.
Yeah, unless, I doubt I'm ever going to be an astronaut. So I'll take, I'll take looking at the stars and finding the magic in my life.
So you've toned that down a little bit and the astronaut's gone on the back burner for a minute. I don't
Yeah.
know. I invite you to take another look at that. I don't think it's ever too late to have your dream, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And what would that look like, from now on? So I digress. What is the most important thing in life to you right now, Miss Swan Goddess? I like
Um,
that name.
thank you. So do I. I like hearing it. So thank you. Um, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but right now, my health, but all of it, like all parts of my health. Like I said, I'm in my 50s, so I have to pay attention to myself, my physical health, and those sorts of things. So I'm just focusing, on my physical health right now. In strength, like your physical strength. I've done a lot of work with mindset. I've done a lot of work on an emotional level, and spiritual level. Um, but now all of it also needs to be able to be sustained and within my body. And so now I need to focus on my body a little bit more. I feel like that's where the balance has been a little bit shifted, not
Yeah.
that I didn't do, but like it was not an equal, distribution. So I feel like I really have to go back for my physical health and pay attention to that and really devote, that to my physical body so it can actually contain and help me maintain, you know, um, the energy that I'm cultivating, with all of this, work, emotionally, mentally, to really come into harmony and in balance and an equilibrium within my own body. The body needs to be able to hold it, and so I'm really feeling it on a physical level. So that's where I'm focusing my
Fair
attention right
enough. You're absolutely correct. The vessel is at this point just as is just as important as the cargo. You've got all of the programs and you've got all of the possibilities and all the rest of that, and you need to have stamina. You need to be able to to stay with it and continuously upgrade whatever in your life seems to be dragging you down. And is there anything I know that folks at home that are very interested in what you're doing, is there a physical practice that you're engaging in, or is this more of a general health watch and keeping track of nutrition and maybe some walking and that sort of thing, or is there something else that you're doing? I'm curious.
Yeah, no, it's just like I love to dance. So I do like, Zumba, or, it just depends on the body and it depends on what you need for the day. But I'll go for a walk so I can be outside in nature. I will do my cardio, which typically comes in a form of Zumba because I love to dance.
Yeah.
And I do my yoga. I try to do a little bit of, everything, and I try to do strength training with weights because that's important for women over 50. And then and then of course nutrition, because that's what I'm trying to figure out right now, because like there's a lot of hormonal ups and downs right now, and that's what I'm trying to figure out what works for my body,
Sure.
because right, like women know, you know we need to do XYZ, after 50 or when you're in this, part of your life. But what works for me is not going to work for someone else, like the combination, like all of these things are needed: nutrition, exercise, sleep, like all of these things are needed. But what's the perfect recipe for us? It's like, it's very dependent on, our body, our lifestyle, and those sorts of things. So I'm just trying to figure out what works for me,
It's all part of the experimentation, isn't it? Because,
Yeah.
while you're making your body stronger, it's got limits too along that process. So I especially like the weight training because that's going to help you keep bone mass along with
Yes.
toning and muscle mass as well. So that's very good for you. Interesting. Now, question number 12 is um, I'm just going to ask it. What would you like to leave in the world after your life is done?
I think my belief in the human family, because I really do feel like I have this deep, unwavering belief and faith in every single human being, even if I don't know you. Like, if you're just part of the human family, it doesn't even matter. I have this, like I said, this unwavering belief in the human family, the human race, that I don't find that many people that understand that, and I just wish people can feel what I'm feeling or see how I view humans, from such a, like a, I don't know, a divine or very deep place. Um, so I just feel like, but they might not understand me, but I know that you know, they know enough about, like, oh, something, I'm like, oh, of course Shalini would feel that way, or ask Shalini, she will help her, or ask Shalini, right? Because at some level they know that I will, and I do believe in people. I will help. I'll help anyone that needs help and is willing for me to help them, so I feel like I feel like we're losing that. I feel like we're really losing that in our world right now, in our country right now. And so the division, like, breaks my heart. The conflict breaks my heart. Just like all of, like, from that standpoint, just breaks my heart. And so I just wish, if people can, like, just believe in someone, just believe in someone, as much as I believe in every single person, even if it's one person. Just if one person can believe in one person so much, then it will just ripple out, So that is what I would love to be able to leave behind, because then it's just going to keep going. That's sustainable.
I I'm going to take a breath here, and I'm going to let 3 seconds of silence. Or so, what my takeaway from what you just said is that, in terms of your looking inward and working on yourself first, that it's an enhancement to your overall view of all humankind, that we are all one. And we're not all one because someone said so. Even when someone's saying we're not, we still are. So the energy required for us to steel ourselves against the notion of taking the input from people who have a motivation to get us to believe that we should really be antagonistic towards other human beings for no apparent reason other than that's what they're telling us, is that when we know ourselves, we're unmessable.
Mm-hmm.
They can't mess with us. And that's what you want to leave for the world. So that it'll be self-sustaining, and that people can stand on their own. And while they're standing on their own, they're constantly giving it away to more beautiful people. And then before you know it, we're talking to each other in a powerful way, and we're exchanging energy at ways that we probably never would have believed possible.
Right. And everyone can just be the light that they wish to see in this world because everyone wants to see it. They can be that and they'll have it.
It's very, very cool. I absolutely love that, and that makes a huge difference to me right at the moment, and I appreciate you. Thank you. So, Shalini,
Yes.
did I get it?
Yes, you did.
Okay, Shalini, I love it. So, Shalini, do you happen to go to a baker very often?
No.
You're not that much of a bread person, are you?
Bread or sweets. And honestly, where I am, like the local bakeries, like they're closing, because of whatever
Ah,
is happening. So I don't know the areas as well. So
sure.
yeah.
Well, let me share something from my childhood. When I would go to visit my grandfather in Detroit, Michigan, and we would go to his bakery, and when we went in there, we always bought a dozen donuts, or we bought a dozen cupcakes, or we bought a dozen rolls, or a dozen croissants. And you know what we always got? Was one more. So I'm going to give you a baker's question right now. And the baker's question is this, Shalini. What is the thing that most people misunderstand about you?
Oh my goodness. So So after all of this conversation that we've been having, I think a lot of people can say I'm a very deep person, and it really comes from anything that I say comes from a deep place, from like a very divine, like a very truthful place, but like not a human truth, just like a universal truth. It's wisdom or it's just inspiration. So where I get misunderstood is that sometimes my decisions based on that truth, based on deep, divine, universal truth, people actually think I'm angry. They mistake my decisions based off of truth as anger and that I'm angry and that's why I'm not doing it. Like my decision not to do something, but it's not the status quo. It's not going what people would have expected it to be, through obligation, through culture, through whatever reason I needed to say yes to something. I said the opposite. And now I guess misunderstood that I'm angry and I'm not angry. It's just very clear to me that it's just not for me, or this decision is just a no.
Yes.
In love, with so much love, with so much respect, it's just my truth. That's it. But and this is like I was saying before, I never lived in my truth. Right. That's why I was so lost and confused and, so unsatisfied. And now that I am and I'm becoming more in my truth and living from this place, it gets misunderstood as anger.
Interesting.
Is
It's
why
all about
what I say now.
it's
Because I'm
it's
always,
all about communication and language, right?
because I'm always so accommodating. I've always put other people's needs before mine and always accommodating. Even if I didn't want to do it, I still did it, right? Just for the greater good of all. And now it's now no, like no. The more you become in your truth, the more I'm living from my truth. And people don't like it. And they're not taking it out on me like in a negative way, but they misunderstand it as that I'm angry and I'm taking it out on them.
Perfect. Perfect. It's very interesting because if you're in the love business, according to the Dalai Lama, who is I respect listening to that man speak, and he was interviewed and asked what he considered his biggest personal failure, and he said to become angry. So it would be allowing the manifestation of the total antithesis of what your energy in life is about for it to actually be anger. However, the love inside of you allows people to misunderstand that, and the good ones ask you questions about it, I think.
Yes. And then just accept me for who I am and
Yeah,
respect that's my truth. And that's it. It has nothing to do with anyone else, right? Like,
not angry, just resolute. Any more questions? Yeah, absolutely. Keep those cards and letters coming in, folks. That is fascinating and wonderful. So that concludes my list of simple questions, Shalini. And I have one more question for you. Do you have any questions of me?
no, I didn't realize I could ask you a question.
It's a one-time offer, no
Okay.
extra charge.
What was your inspiration for this podcast?
That's a very good question. And the mother of the thought process had to do with another podcast that I've been doing for almost three full years. I started it during the worst part of COVID when the northwest part of the country was on fire. And personally, it was hard to find anything that was empowering news. And so I started, that podcast, which is called Lighting the Candle, A World That Works. That my belief and what I stand for is to demonstrate that the world is working in all the ways that it appears not to be working, that other people are resisting and fighting. And so when I got to the point of really diving in and listening to lots of different YouTube videos, especially about what was conversations going on campuses, college campuses, having to do with issues, social justice issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I will not tell you specifically what I'm talking about, but just suffice it to say that whenever a person is diminished in a conversation, like there's something intrinsically wrong with them because of who they are, that they have no choice in the matter, that there's something really, I think, evil, in that conversation. So I wanted to interview people using the James Lipton approach. I don't know if you've ever watched the Screen Actors Workshop that he interviewed literally hundreds of different people over a 30 or 40-year period who would come back and answer questions for kids that were going through the workshop. Um, and he had the same questions that he would ask them over and over again. And so I thought, if I could do something like that that was designed to get people to share in a different way than they're used to, and maybe open up just a little bit and show and take a chance and show everybody their humanity. What we might find out is that people are not these groups that at that time we were being told we were. And quite frankly, what I've found is that everyone is beautiful. They're all
Mhm.
full of love. And quite frankly, that's what the inspiration was. And it's also, again, it's a work that I'm really enjoying doing. And I've really loved having you on today.
Yes, no, thank you. This was so much fun.
Well, you're very welcome. I appreciate the insights and your answers to these questions. And this is simple questions for 100 people. I will say again from the bottom of my heart, Miss Swan Goddess, I appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you are doing. And I appreciate that you work so hard that you have to train yourself how to recover from it. I think that's an admirable way to spend your existence. And I want to give you all of the energy that I can for you to keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So that's our show for today, ladies and gentlemen. And as I always leave you, there's someone in your life that needs to hear from you, and either by text, uh, phone call, or email, or carrier pigeon, however you choose to do it. Please reach out and let someone in your life know that your world works because they are in it, and that you're always there for them no matter what they need. They can always call you 24/7. God bless all of you. I love you all very much. And thanks again, Miss Swan Goddess.
You've been listening to Simple Questions for 100 People, part of the Exvadio Podcast Network. You can find every episode at exvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcast app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you find podcasts.